3, 2, 1.
What's happening, Tokyo Nation, and welcome to a brand new video on the Power Irrational channel. And today, we're going to be taking a look at a very interesting season of Tokyo. Today, we're going to be talking about Garo. And honestly, I've been looking at this season for a while, this show, and I just haven't really gotten the chance to get around to watching it. But now, since it's October, yeah, seems like the perfect time to watch and review it. So, with all that being said, be sure to like, comment what you think about the show, and also be sure to subscribe. We're going to keep growing since we already passed 100 subscribers, which I have to say thank you so much. I already made a video about thanking everybody for that. And that being said, let's get straight to it. Yeah. So, something about this show that really captured me from the moment I started watching is the tone and the kind of atmosphere. This atmosphere and the tone of this show is pretty dark. A lot darker than some of the Sentai and some of the writer that I have reviewed and just watched in general. This show just has such a presence. Like, there is like a little sense of dread a little bit because of how this is a horror-based show and it has more horror elements, and how it kind of comes together in the form of the visuals, which are really good in the show. And I would very much advise, if you are going to watch this show, you might want to watch it in like HD, or like not just HD, Blu-ray. I would get a Blu-ray copy of this show, and just to admire the visuals of the monsters, the suits, the CGI, and all that. And since we're on this topic of style, I say the style of this show is actually pretty cool. This show is tonally and just totally different from like the rest of the Tokyo that I've seen, and it's just so interesting. It's so cool in how it looks and just how it operates. How the horrors are basically demons that would take over people's bodies based on like different things that that person would want, or just like a different flaw that that person would have. Even like, it's really cool. It's not just people that these horrors take over, but also objects. There's an episode where there's a clock that is basically made an antagonist for our hero, and it's such a cool style, it's such a cool atmosphere, it's such a cool like production, and yeah, I think it looks really cool. Now let's get to the characters. Koga is actually a pretty good protagonist. I think he's probably one of my favorites now, and the reason why is because he just has this cool, stern, kind of cold, not even just kind of, he's definitely cold in the beginning, and then the show progresses and he transforms from this stern and like, what's the word, stern and stoic, that's the word, stoic protagonist who only is worried about killing horrors, to this more heroic, more emotionally open, more just like human protagonist who has shown more of a love and more of a desire to protect humanity. Since this show isn't really about saving the world, it's more just protecting humans from the horrors, which is actually a very interesting idea too, that we don't really get a whole lot about, but yeah, I think that's a pretty interesting angle versus like, we have to stop this bad guy to save the world from his clutches, to where we just need to fight these monsters without much of an end game for like overall of how to get rid of them, which is actually pretty cool. And then we get to our other characters. Gonza, or Ring, is actually pretty cool. He actually gives a little comic relief now again whenever we're talking about like Koga's out and about trying to find horror. Gonzo gives little words of like comedy. He's cool. I like him. And then we have Karu. She's okay. She's alright. I don't really think there's a whole lot to say about her, since she's more just like the character who found her way into this mess and now has to kind of like live through it. And like, she's not bad. She's fine. I don't have a whole lot to say about her though. Then Gonza, who is our butler slash Alfred character, who is comedic gold, and who kind of gives more of exposition about Koga and his backstory with his father and all that. He's actually a pretty good character, and there was a time where he tried to fight with the soul metal, but since he hasn't trained with it, as soon as someone mentions it, he just falls to the ground. That was just great. That was just amazing. Then we have Ray slash Zero slash, yeah, that's it. It's like Ray slash Zero slash Ginga, who is a pretty cool secondary Mecha Knight, since that's what they are. And it's kind of like this more, he's cool too, but like a little more flashy, a little more like, more emotionally driven than Koga. Koga is more emotionless, and then Zero is more emotional, especially since why he is here in the Eastern District when he was originally in the West, which is actually pretty cool. And I really like him as a sort of foil for Koga, and they have a ton of fights. Not like ton, but like they have a few fights in the show, and their clashes are actually really cool too. And it's like, he's pretty cool. I like him. He's dope. And I really like how they, after like agreeing to work together, actually work together pretty decently well. Well, despite the fact that they've been trying to kill each other since up to that point in the show. And we have his necklace. I can't remember her name though. It's just like, and his necklace, he has that too. She's cool. I like her. She's alright. They flirt a little bit, and it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice. And then like, we have our bad guy, Kiba, and then we have the watchdogs. They're kind of like crazy. Like, Kiba is a Mecha Knight, but he is also evil for reasons that I will not disclose because spoilers. But it's just like, he's been here this whole time. It's like, you rewatch it and I'm like, oh man, he was here the whole time. I'm not gonna tell you who he was, but he's been here the whole time. But it's just like, it's kind of weird. It's like, I don't really have a whole lot to say about them either. They're fine. They work for the story. I don't think that the villains are really that strong. I think the monsters of the week are more steal the show, and Koga's character progression also steals the show. And then him and Ray and their fights together and against each other are really dope. Too, they also kind of like lift the show up. And it's just like, when I break it down, it doesn't really have, I don't have a whole lot to say. But it's more of just how collectively all these different elements really work together really well, and how this is radically different from what I've seen, and how cool this actually is. It kind of makes me wonder if this is my favorite Toku that I've seen so far, and if it will remain that way as I go on. That, along with Forze and Gekki Ranger, I think that this is probably my favorite Toku that isn't like part of the big three, the big trinity of Toku. And it's just like, this show is super cool. I think it's really dope. Is it my favorite Toku? I'm not sure. I think it probably could contend as one, but yeah. Altogether, this show is really dope. Separately, things are kind of a little varied, but altogether, this is really dope. with all that being said, thank you all so much for watching. As, of course, like, comment, subscribe. Gonna keep growing since we hit 100 subscribers just this week. Well, we hit 100 yesterday. But all that being said, I'll see you all next time. Peace.